Yeah. We can probably go ahead and get started. Appreciate everyone taking the time over their lunch, over, whatever hour it is from whatever time zone you're joining us. Again, very excited to dive into the Ignite recap. It's probably gonna be a little different than any of the other recaps that you may have seen. The reason being, AI was everywhere, right? I mean, Ryan, you probably couldn't turn a corner without a million different AI in your face.
Got home on Monday and told my wife I probably need about a week without hearing the word AI.
It's the reason you moved out to the country. To stand in a field.
Yep, get away from it.
So we're not going to drown people out with all the AI stuff. We've got a couple components. There's some licensing things that we do want to call out, but this is not going to be an hour of, Azure Foundry and agents. And I think everyone gets enough of that. So we kind of went through, Ryan put together a list of, what are the exciting things that directly affect our customers, directly affect, similar businesses to our customers. If you're not, leveraging US Signal as your CSP, we would love for you to join us. But if not, we still think it's important that you're aware of these things. So I have all of 2 slides. The first being Ryan and I's face, and then the next being I grabbed a screenshot of the keynote. Now, Ryan, there's probably nothing like actually experiencing this, but this is amazing. There are how many people showed up for Ignite?
Roughly 25,000.
25,000 people to come hear about what's new in the world of Microsoft. I think I'm going to try and get out there next year. Ryan's raved about it, but
it's definitely worth the experience, especially in the past years. I've done the whole Ignite from the virtual aspect of things, but just being there, being able to collaborate with other folks, hearing what other folks are doing, it was quote unquote priceless.
Amazing. All right. This is it for my slides. That's my slide deck. So we're gonna now pop over. Ryan is going to share his screen, and give me a moment to figure out how to stop sharing. Let's see, remove that. And then Ryan, do you have an option to present?
Yes. Yep. Give me a second here. Oh, it doesn't like my full screen. Give me a second.
And what we're going to do instead is Ryan accumulated a bunch of links with, from announcements and different things in relation to what he really felt was important. Again, it's across a wide, array of different areas within Microsoft. We're going to walk through what we think is the most important. If there are areas that you want to talk further, don't hesitate to reach out to either of us directly, to your account executive, your SA, anybody, within US Signal can get a hold of us, and we'll happily dive in further. There are some pretty major changes, I think, especially in the SMB space when it comes to some of the AI availability, but then like security and data loss prevention, things like that. And then there's some big announcements in the Intune suite that I think are going to be really important. And Ryan, we'll talk through that. So we'll bring it on up. Ryan, I just brought your screen to stage. So, go ahead and kind of walk through, we'll start off and kind of talk about each one as we go.
That sounds good.
Sorry, real quick. We do have, I do see our chat. We love interaction. We love feedback. If you have questions about anything, don't hesitate to put it in the chat. We may not have the answer to it because a lot of this stuff is brand new, but stuff that we do know of, we're happy to respond. So, Ryan, I'll throw it back to you.
Yep. Let me get this presented back up here. Make sure you can see it again.
I think we are good. I've brought it to stage. So all you, my friend.
Awesome. I've got it zoomed in here best I can. Please holler if we need it a little bit bigger. I can keep working here.
I think it's good, but if anybody in the chat has any concerns, just let us know.
Yep. Okay. So besides AI, another big piece Microsoft's really been pushing lately is security, and they've got a whole push for security by default, things like that, where it would make sense when we're pushing out certain new feature updates, things like that, that they're secure by default and not just open for the whole world. But also with that, they have what announces their baseline security mode. Um, what that is, get up my tabs out of here. Oh, we already have a broken link.
Love broken links.
Right. Give me 1 second here.
We do these things live, and like, we walk through ahead of time, but a lot of the times, you're seeing it raw.
All right. See my screen all right?
Yep. If you're able to zoom in, and if you're able to zoom in on the browser, it might help a little bit. I will say, as we go through this, I'm trying to get into the chat. Let's see. Add a comment. We'll post the links as we go down, just so you can follow along. So.
Yep. So with this baseline security mode, what this is going to allow for you is we can assign their default policies all at once. We can assign those out in a simulation mode, obviously trying to push all them out at once, ready for those help desk calls. But the goal here with that simulation mode is to help move you further along so we can get to that meeting Microsoft standard for their authentication pieces, any of the other security pieces. So similar in the past, if you're aware of like their secure score, things like that, this is going to tie directly in with that piece there. I think everybody's kind of dealt with this in the past of how do I make sure my tenant is secure before I either migrate to Office 365, or you're already there, but just kind of flying by the seat of your pants of are we secure, are we not, maybe looking at some third-party tools. And this is a big announcement now where directly within your Office 365 admin center, we can get in there now and start turning some of these policies on and off, simulation mode, those types of things there. So definitely a lot of excitement around this. Excited to have more folks start utilizing this.
So. As we look at that, is that something every customer should look at? Is there a specific subset? What's kind of your opinion on the security baselines? I think I know the answer, but
yeah, really everybody. And by no means does this mean that this is going to replace anything. If you're using something else for reporting or whatnot, still making sure to use that, but just to have something to guide off of directly from Microsoft is a huge help. Especially certain things that Microsoft's releasing, or a new vulnerability, just to have that directly within the baseline security, and without having to create a PowerShell script or a conditional access policy to go do that. Microsoft having the pre-built tools to click the box, okay, I want to meet that standard. Okay, it's going to put those pieces in play there. So
perfect. And I'm now posting this one in the LinkedIn chat. I had to play with the hyperlink a little bit. I didn't quite see how you fixed it, but we got that there.
Yep.
So commented that. Everyone should be able to see that. So as we go through this again, we'll make sure we post these, and then at the end we'll do a big kind of aggregated link list. We'll share this document out. So yeah, the security baseline again is incredibly important. I think a lot of CSPs have varying degrees of assessments that they will provide, right? You can have somebody come in. This doesn't necessarily completely remove that, right? Because there may be specific audits that you need to prepare for, things like that. But now there is a great baseline for security standards. Ryan, I forget the number, but Microsoft spends how many billions a year on security tools and making these things better, and making the environment more secure. This is going to help adhere to their baseline.
and that kind of goes back to what they were talking about is, and I think we all can kind of joke on that piece where, well, why wasn't this implemented years ago? And it's just Microsoft really trying to make sure that they've got the right things in place to kind of start being more secure by default. Along with what I'll kind of scroll down here, kind of goes hand in hand. There has been plenty of other assessments provided third party for auditing your Microsoft environment. But another piece that they've released is now they're natively within Microsoft, there's zero trust assessment. This is going to comply or compare next to your NIST, CISA, CIS benchmarks, along with some of their own security baselines. And it comes out with a pretty neat report here going through your user authentication, privileged users, device sign-in, if devices are compliant. There's a huge, this is only a small subset of what they will do, but really this has been something, my opinion, I've been looking for a long time, coming directly from Microsoft. Why have we always had to go with a third party for something like this? And still, security first here, probably still good to have another third party looking at this, but just to have another piece here. And in a non-Microsoft way, this is free. This is something that you can run on your environment today, just to give you a good baseline. It also comes through with those recommendations and how to fix those vulnerabilities and any other findings that come from that assessment.
Perfect. Yeah, I put that link in the chat as well. You know, again, this is one of those things where there are varying degrees of IT budgets at our customers, right? If you don't have a tool, or maybe it's been out of budget, you've been looking to get one, bringing these things to the end user is incredibly important in the Microsoft world. So we're really excited to see these things, start to pop up and get released.
And any of our advanced users or anything like that, if you're looking at maybe building off of this or making something more personable for your organization, this is all backed with a GitHub repository. So could get a little creative there and do a little bit of branding and adding any other standards that you might need in there. But good thing to start from, and another exciting thing Microsoft released.
Awesome. All right.
Okay, so next, as you can imagine, besides AI everywhere at the conference, been making the joke 2026 is going to be the year of agents. And along with that, with all your agents, trying to get those pushed from different departments, different organizations, things like that, how can we monitor those agents? And that was one thing that they released, is their dashboard. What we can do there with your agents is monitor the interaction, whether your Copilot users are actually utilizing those licenses that you've purchased for those users. Kind of helps too along those ways of whether the users are using them, or how we can help kind of keep building on that adoption for those either the agents or the Copilot 365 chat in itself.
Perfect. Yeah, I know, as we at US Signal are looking at rolling agents out across our organization. That's one of my big concerns is, how do we track everything, right? How do we make sure we're getting utilization? How do we just see that stuff is working? The observability aspect is high on the list of how do we operationalize this. So, we are, just so everyone's aware, right? We are building agents with Copilot. We're integrating them into our workflow. I think like everybody, it's still early. We're excited about, what it's enabling us to do. And so, even, regardless of our customers, we're excited for this internally, right? So yeah, this is big. And then I just posted the link to the Copilot agent dashboard in the chat as well. So
awesome. Then moving
right.
on here, we've got it's been in preview for a little while now, but finally released Microsoft Server 2025 is now generally available. Um, so everybody's excited for upgrades and things like that. But pull up the link here.
Are there any kind of major new features that you want to call out, or is it a pretty consistent? Hey, we've got it's the kind of next major release.
I would say without having a super depth knowledge of how all the AI pieces are, that's the big thing that they kept talking about is now with SQL 2025, it's going to be AI ready. But without, I'm not a huge SQL guy here by any means. But that was
No,
one of
that's
the big things that they were talking about is being able to, with SQL 2025, a lot more easier setup if we're needing to integrate with cloud or any SaaS environments, and having a lot of those feature sets built on the back end ready for AI.
perfect. All right, and I just posted that one in the chat, so definitely check it out. Continue down the list.
Yeah.
This next one is actually I'm really excited about this next one.
With that excitement, because Taylor has a little bit more hands-on with this than I am, I'm going to pass it over to him to kind of talk a little on this piece.
Yeah. So if you come from the development side of things and you've tried to deploy to app service, I'm sure we've all ran into scenarios where we have third-party dependencies or libraries that just don't support being deployed in the Azure App Service environment. So what's that force us to do? We either have to go look at an Azure VM, or we have to spin that service off and create an API that our app service can then call, and there's additional infrastructure. With the announcement of managed instance on app service, it really is meant to tackle those deployments where we can start to deploy those environments. We get a much a much fuller, call it, environment to deploy into the app service. So we get the benefits of Microsoft handling updates and uptime and all of that, alongside just more flexibility in our deployment model. So again, I know this one's in preview. I'm excited to see what this comes out to long term. I know I'll be playing around with it. Excited for this one to go live.
And especially, I think some of the challenges are where managed instance for SQL provided. That's where we're going to see a lot of that similar aspect here for these Azure App Services on managed instance. All right.
Accidentally muted myself. I'm grabbing the link on that one real quick, and getting that posted. Apologies if you hear a dog barking in the background. My dog is a little excited. Managed instance on Azure App Service. And that one goes live. Awesome. Perfect. Ryan, I'll hand it back to you. You're good. Let her out real quick. You cover the next one.
Yep. Okay. So in lines with agents, the next piece there is they released, besides an admin agent for SharePoint and Teams. What this agent is going to allow for is if you're in SharePoint and you want to design a page or create a list, now being able to just ask Copilot to do that for you rather than doing that manually. That was a big announcement that they had there as well. Similar with Teams, being able to ask it to create a Teams channel, linking it with an app, kind of really trying to challenge it the best you can when asking it. As you can imagine with anything new, I'm sure there's going to be a couple caveats there where you might have to just manually link a third-party app, things like that. But I think there's more to come with these admin agents. I know they've done a little bit with the Entra admin agent, and there's even more to come with Azure admin agents. But there's a lot of excitement around the admin agents, just trying to free up some of your guys' time.
Yeah. And I know, specifically, so I went to an AI roundtable yesterday here in Des Moines, and there's still, 3 years post Chat GPT, just all kinds of questions about how do we use this? Is it safe? Is it still hallucinating at the levels it was? And varying degrees of organizations, whether you're an organization that is incredibly pro AI, you're probably using this stuff. If you're an organization that is, hard stop, no AI, I would recommend, this could be a good way to really dip your toes into experiencing what it can do for you, right? Um, just, try it out. The co-pilots are getting really good. And the SharePoint admin agent is a good way to dip your toe into the agent side of things to actually have it execute for you.
I know it would save me a lot of time, but I tend to lean a little bit more of trying to use AI as much as I can.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
And even if it's not so much that time saving, trying to help build those standards with the agents, things like that. So
Yep, absolutely. All right, Copilot chat.
Yeah, this one was definitely up there on what folks are most excited about. So in the past, Copilot Chat has been the free version, where up here in Edge, being able to, for those non-Copilot for 365 license users, um, all you've really had is what I call the glorified Chat GPT. You can ask it questions, things like that, but there was no integration with your M365 tenant or your M365 suite of apps. Now with Copilot for Chat, we can. It's starting to roll out in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote. You may have already seen it with one of your latest M365 apps updates, where you've seen the Copilot agent within those applications, even for a non-licensed user. And that's, I think, presetted this announcement where we can ask, now those free users can ask it questions about their inbox, their calendars, being able to get in that agent mode for chats, create documents, presentations, spreadsheets, things like that. So this was definitely a big one. That $30 a month for those licenses can be a little bit daunting, where now those users will be able to take advantage of some of those lighter feature sets for their Copilot chat license.
Do we know, for our customers that are using the $30 a month Copilot app, do we know kind of what the differentiation is between the free one and the paid one?
There isn't really like a great list of like those bullets and things like that, but one big piece would be like being able to ask it documents from SharePoint, things like that. Copilot chat still isn't going to
have the knowledge of our organization.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, as we look at the usefulness of it and having it in that, I mean, that's really where the intelligence lies, right? Hey, when I can ask it questions about documents in SharePoint, things like that, that's where the value comes from. So I wouldn't go canceling immediately, right?
No. Especially if you're doing certain things, building off those grounding of the M365 tenant. But I think the big thing is if all you're using Copilot for M365 is to list out what's in your top emails in your inbox, that would be potentially a play here, where maybe you can start assigning that license to somebody else. They could just go to chat if they're just using it for their inbox.
Perfect.
Some other things they talked about with the inbox is it might not be as great of an experience or get you everything that you need with your inbox compared to an actual licensed user, but kind of one of those things you kind of have to test with your end users. And
yeah, if I had to guess, I would, I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine the model is either maybe a cheaper model to run or a more, quantized model so that it can respond faster. Something tells me the paid versus the unpaid are going to have different model quality, that it's using for intelligence. So
yep. I know the Copilot for chat right now is the 4.0 or the 4-letter O.
Oh yeah, yep.
ChatGPT, and then the paid version you get the ChatGPT 5. So
Okay, perfect. Yep. So there's another benefit as
Yep.
well.
My recommendation, honestly, if there's somebody who's like asking for it, and you're not quite sure there, just have them start utilizing more of the chat, and then kind of coming up with those, hey, this is working, but I need XYZ. Then that's that kind of that transition phase. Like, okay, now we know we need that added license there.
You can dive in head first if you want, but a lot of the organizations that we work with follow the crawl, walk, run path, right? It's what we recommend. You're not going to find yourself in trouble near as often.
Yep. Since we're kind of talking on here with the Copilot chat, I don't have an exact link on this yet because they just got announced this morning, but there is a new Copilot feature for either chat or specifically the licensed version, where in the past turning on Copilot, that Copilot, when the user asks certain SharePoint docs or things like that, or where certain things are, it will go wherever they have permissions to. I think Taylor's used a fun analogy of it's like water. Anywhere it has access to, that water is going to go, which can be scary at times when trying to get users to use this and we're not quite sure of our governance of all of our data. Now there is a personal content mode we can turn on for those users. So they're still going to have access to their OneDrive. They're still going to have access to any SharePoint docs that they've recently accessed. But if there's certain documents out there that maybe they have rights to, but they've never accessed it and probably shouldn't, Copilot in that PCM mode isn't going to go out and search through those documents. It's only recent documents or their personal OneDrive.
Yeah, the extreme example we always give is like a new employee getting access to confidential CEO documents because Entra permissions are not in place correctly, right? This is going to help really alleviate that, which is really exciting.
Yeah, especially we've seen plenty of times where people are excited about this, but man, trying to get all your data governed if it wasn't set up properly can be scary, and it comes with a lot of work. But this kind of helps alleviate that, where we can get those users taking full advantage of those Copilot features without the worry of the data governance. By no means that doesn't mean just keep kicking the can down the road, but
yeah, don't ignore it.
yes.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. So Frontier program. Personally, I wish they would have maybe named it something a little bit different, because it's so the Frontier program is available to customers to be able to kind of partner with Microsoft to get any of their latest AI innovations, get access to some of the preview features, provide feedback with their product teams. To me, when I first see this program, I think, oh, that must just be a partner thing. I don't think that's something for customers, but that's where I'm trying to just reiterate that this is something that every customer can take advantage of. Kind of helps make sure you're on the latest and greatest when it comes to everything Microsoft's releasing for AI. Whether it's, again, they're gonna a lot of the agent-based items, but kind of that front edge for any of their latest announcements.
Perfect. Yeah, if there's one thing that Microsoft and I think the industry as a whole has shown, it's that AI is not going to slow down or I think ever stop. Right, cat's out of the bag. So especially if you're in a position where you really want to stay at the forefront of this, which I would recommend. Right, I know that there's big talk around hype cycles and bubbles and all of that, but I think the technology is here. The technology is here to stay, and so making sure we're at the forefront, making sure we're following with the latest and the greatest is incredibly important. And this is a great way as a customer to be able to be a part of that.
Exciting times, right?
Oh yeah, keeps us busy. Okay.
All right. So agent mode for PowerPoint, Excel, Word. What this is specific agents to run So you might be familiar, like when you're within Word or you're within Excel, you've seen that Copilot option out there on there. Now within Teams, you'll have your own specific chat with a PowerPoint agent, with a Word doc agent, to be able to ask it on the go questions comparatively to the historically you're in the Word doc. Hey, create this presentation for me. Once it creates it, you're kind of left in the dark of, okay, it's created. Now I can go make my edits. Where these agents are going to be able to help on is continually editing that document as you go along.
Perfect. Yeah, this one is one I think I'm excited to see, what the experience is like. I don't know that we have a ton of information on it yet.
Yeah, it seems like there's more to come there, especially the work IQ layer. Sometimes it's cooler than it sounds, but I think there's definitely more to come there.
Perfect. Okay.
I'm gonna wait on the Copilot for Business piece. Copilot, there's some updates with Outlook. So when it comes to scheduling, now you'll see in Outlook a schedule with Copilot. Nothing's worse than trying to find those one-on-one sessions going into Schedule Assistant. Where is the time? Almost takes more time than it would the whole meeting to schedule something. Everybody's busy schedules. So that is something personally I've been using and having a ton of luck with. Trying to find those optimal time slots and everything. But I think the other hard part is making sure everybody's calendars are up to date.
Yeah, absolutely. Scheduler helps, but if we don't have to dive into that, that's definitely useful.
Yep. Super side note, I guess, if anybody's has fun with the themes, that was one other thing they released is you can ask Copilot to make you a customized theme for your Outlook. So
nice.
I think I did San Francisco, something like that. But
all right, I'm getting that one posted.
In line with all of these agents coming out, thousands of agents, especially once you start getting those implemented in your environments. Scary part can be how are we making sure we're securing those agents? And they released a piece with Entra to be able to have those manage identities for those agents. That way we're not just assigning an agent a service account, something along those lines, trying to follow that zero trust strategy from Microsoft there. Being able to also implement any conditional access policies for those agents. That was another big piece that they released.
Perfect. Sorry, getting that posted in the chat now.
Yeah. Nice little dashboard for you too, within kind of seeing what agents are out there that maybe aren't managed, or any agents that we don't have any identities assigned to, making sure we get those secured. Ultimately,
no, I was just gonna say this one, in line with the dashboard that we had showed earlier. Entra agent ID is very exciting for me because we've got internal agents that we're we're building with Copilot Studio. We've got some external that we're doing custom development with different frontier models. That's been the big question, right? Like, how do we make sure we authenticate this thing appropriately, that we lock it down? And now that this is launched, really excited to play around with this one and tie that into these agents, it just to ensure, hey, we're secure, right?
Yeah,
that's the big thing with AI.
And as you can imagine, all those threat hackers out there and everything, they're seeing this too. Everybody's using agents, things like that, and now to them, it's a new way to potentially attack an organization. Especially with it being newer, maybe folks aren't realizing that, hey, you need to be securing these as well. That was a big piece to be able to help provide there.
Yeah, and just a general call out, right? AI in general, and it's been used heavily in the software development space, right? And accelerating timeline, and then providing people that maybe don't have traditional development background, the ability to create applications, you just have to be incredibly careful if you allow those users to deploy those applications to authenticate, to put the security in place to make sure you're not accidentally exposing. If you spend any time on Twitter or X or any social media where people are talking about this, all the time you see where non-developer background individuals will they don't understand that, hey, we need to put authentication in front of this endpoint, and I accidentally just exposed all the data in the database, right? Or I'm using Git to as source control, and I just deployed all of our API keys, right? And the repo is public because we didn't know the difference. You run into that stuff all the time. So that's more of like a general AI hygiene, I think, but definitely plays into this where we can start to put some controls around that as well.
And they're still building onto it what you can do with blueprints, but that's another piece we can call out here is basically kind of helping alleviate that as well, where maybe those end users still aren't going to understand how to set up those identities. You can set up a blueprint there where when they set it up, it automatically is going to create that managed identity for you.
Yeah,
kind of take that risk out of their hands there.
Perfect. All right. I know we're kind of getting down towards the end. I think we saved some of the most exciting stuff for last.
Absolutely.
So we'll kind of get through this.
Okay. Intune agents and enhanced actions. So some people maybe have already started playing with Intune Copilot. Some of the other pieces there, some more agents already pre-built for you would be a change review agent. So being able to get in there and look through approval requests or ask it on any recommended actions. There's a device onboarding offboarding agent as well. So being able to build those policies right within the agent. Natively, I know you can get in there and say X amount of days if it hasn't contacted, offboard it, but just being able to get a little bit more in the weeds there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being able to create a policy. This one is, I think, a lot of times when implementations of Intune, it's I want to do X, Y, Z, but I'm not 100% sure where it is in that full settings catalog. Now being able to ask or prompt the agent to create the policy for your instructions, being able to do that has been done some testing in the lab, and it
pretty honestly, good.
Yeah, it surprised me. I definitely gave it a few challenges, and even one where maybe the catalog doesn't have it available, but kind of walked me through how to upload that ADMX to be able to accomplish what I was looking for.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one of the things, as I talk to people that are still a little hesitant on AI, there's always the risk of hallucination. But if you have not touched these tools in a long time, they are getting really good, especially when it comes to like scripting and policy configuration, things like that. It's absolutely saves you time. And do the quick review, make sure it's right. But man, there is nothing like instead of having to write everything new, just being able to review and edit.
Yep. And then vulnerability remediation agent. So if you're using Defender for endpoint, you can monitor those vulnerabilities and within the agent itself build those tasks where if we hit medium or high, just automatically go do that remediation on the devices itself. So some exciting things there.
Awesome. Okay.
If you've talked with me or just kind of seen out in the environment, these days I've been a huge proponent of passwordless authentication. However, it has been a pain point where, okay, yep, we've done passwordless authentication. They're using their passkey, things like that. But when it comes to I've lost my passkey, there has been no way to kind of have that self-service password reset in the old days where I want to be able to recover my account with still being able to do that self-service. Now that was one thing they released broken link here. Let's see if I can get the actual one.
Let's see.
Yep, here we go. Update that real quick.
Perfect. And then I will post the actual link in the chat real quick. All right.
So ultimately what this can help is users in a pinch after hours without having to contact the help desk, being able to recover their account if they no longer have that password reset, or you're doing passwordless, kind of that replacement for SSPR.
Yep. Awesome. No, actually, and a lot of the recommendations that I think Microsoft is really pushing forward is the passwordless authentication, right? So, if you're not there yet, I know we're as an organization not there. I think it will come soon. This is really setting up the tools to make sure that that is a good experience.
Yep. Honestly, it's probably been some folks' hesitation on moving towards it. Is you've been so familiar with users being able to reset their accounts, be able to get in without all those help desk calls. Now with this in place, I think that'll help move further along with the passwordless adoption.
Perfect. Okay, I think we've got 3 left. We're coming up on the 45, and so I think this will land us right at the perfect time for questions and should be good. But
yeah,
Ryan, we'll let you kind of take on license changes next.
Yes. So this all was announced this morning. So wanted just
This
to
is real recent.
Yes. Not quite an Ignite thing, but felt it was worth talking to everybody about because we've got plenty of Microsoft customers here. So
Absolutely.
moving forward, starting June or July of next year, start with business licensing. Previously, Business Basic, Business Standard, Business Premium has had only a 50 gig email box. Moving forward, they will have that 100 gig mailbox to align with the Office 365 E3 or Microsoft 365 E3 or E5.
And I know that's always a huge point of contention, right?
Yes.
We talk to a lot of organizations. They're under the seat limit, right, where Business Premium could be perfect, but they stick with the E3 or the E5, and then they're not using every feature, but there are some limits and stuff like that, right? This really just removes that as an issue.
Yep. Some of the other pieces that aren't as exciting, but just there's more security management analytics that are coming with Copilot Chat for those unlicensed users. And then another big one would be Office 365 E3 is getting Defender for Office P1 along with Microsoft 365 E3. Personally, that's been a big one for me that I've always been kind of a strain, especially if somebody's going from, let's say, Business Premium to Microsoft 365 E3. Well, you would quote unquote see that as an upgrade, but you didn't have Defender for Office P1 included. Now that is going to be included for your Microsoft 365 E3.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, and if you scroll down, I think these changes go into effect July 1st, July 1, 2026. So, yeah, there's the joy of Microsoft. There is, as you can see here, pricing changes coming, but it's not every license. I think the Business Premium license actually stays the same, right? So,
correct.
Something to take into consideration. If you're a US Signal customer, as a part of the experience, we do annual licensing reviews every year anyway. So, we'll make sure that we dive into this stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
A couple of the other pieces here, just go right into with Intune. So any Intune customer out there has probably seen the Intune Cloud Suite with the Intune Remote Help or the Advanced Analytics, some of the endpoint privilege management. whether you were looking at the full suite or each one as a remote add-on. And they've always been a little bit of a pain point of, man, I'm already paying Microsoft 365 E5 licensing, even some E3. It's hard to justify some of those costs with the $10 added for the suite or the multiple add-ons there. What they've recently announced is Microsoft 365 E3 is going to have Intune Remote Help, Intune Advanced Analytics, and Intune Plan 2 included on your Microsoft 365 E3 licensing.
This is huge. And I don't know if you want to switch over to the page that kind of calls that out. I'll post that link in the chat. But I know this is how many people have we talked to that want these features, pay extra for these features, and now Microsoft has said, hey, this is important. We're going to just bundle this in with your license.
Yep. The other piece there with E5 then is E5 is ultimately going to get you that full Intune cloud suite with the remote help, the advanced analytics, along with the endpoint privilege management, the enterprise application management, and the cloud PKI. Happy to go further detail on each one if you aren't familiar with any of those add-ons, but
yeah, I think definitely a conversation that we're happy to have, in outside of this venue, but a lot of value here getting brought to the E5.
Especially if you already have E5 or were considering for going from E3 to E5, just seeing some of those pieces already included. The cloud PKI one, I think, has been a big one I've seen adopted along with the enterprise application management. Intune pushing apps. Sometimes those third-party apps can be a little daunting, and having that a little bit more streamlined there has been super helpful.
Perfect. Okay. Let's see. I think we've got one left. Is that right?
Yes. Let me get this pulled up here.
And just for everyone in the audience, we hope that what we've called out is helpful, for your organization, things that you may or may not have, seen come out of the keynote. I know a lot of the hype again is all the AI stuff. So we really wanted to surface things that we think directly affect our customers. If you have something you're curious about that you've seen, don't hesitate to reach out to us. If we haven't seen it, we can pull in the right people from Microsoft, have conversations, making sure that you are aware and understand what these changes mean for your organization.
So the last piece wanted to make sure everybody was aware of is with Microsoft 365 E5, they are now quote unquote including Security Copilot. Security Copilot is what backs SOC agents for Defender, some of the Entra agents. I think where we'll see a lot of adoption is, I think people have been excited about Intune Copilot and some of their agents, but couldn't really justify the Security Copilot costs that are included with that. Now with E5, depending on the number of your users, you're going to get those security compute units that originally were required to enable Security Copilot. So an example would be if you have, they have 400 here, but if we drop that to 100 users, not great with the fast math here, but I believe you get about 40 SKUs a month. That equates to roughly about 180K a month previously if you weren't a Microsoft 365 E5 customer that you'd have to pay on top of that.
That was always one of the major complaints that we heard was, hey, we want to try this out. Just for the size of the organizations we talked to, even up into some of our larger customers, right? It was just so financially prohibitive. This is an opportunity if you're in the E5, really start to take advantage of some of those Security Copilot features.
Yep. Even, and As crazy it sounds, even with just one Microsoft 365 E5 license, now you get, I think it's roughly 10 to 11 SKUs per month, which again, historically would be around 90K a month, 80K a month. So huge cost savings there to start being able to utilize these really neat tools. Especially, I think, again, with our customers, I think we're really going to see help this push some of that Intune Copilot, and then kind of later on look into the Defender pieces with Sentinel, being able to help with some of those remediation pieces there. So
perfect. One that I wanted to cover, I think we might have missed it. Copilot for business.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So if you've priced out the M365 Copilot before, they've made iterations on it, but it's now $30 per user per month. They have made the change for just business premium users.
Correct.
Okay, so for business premium users, you can get a M365 Copilot for Business license that is $21 per user, up to those 300, not the full 30 that is needed. So
I stand corrected. Business Basic and Business Standard as well.
Okay. So it is the business suite, right? So this is really exciting. It's you may look at a business basic license and say, hey, $21, per user is multiple times that. But again, every time we talk to people, we want to make sure you frame the AI conversation not as a direct, per dollar per user cost. We get that's maybe a different way of looking at it, but what is the productivity that's unlocked, right? How much does the person, what's the hourly cost of the person that has the license? Is it more than that? Is it more than the savings we see in just about every single case? The answer is yes. But this price decrease on the business license definitely opens this up to even more users. So very exciting. Okay. Well, Ryan, I think that's everything we wanted to cover. I know we've got, just a few minutes left. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, here we go.
What was your favorite part about Ignite?
Let's see. Favorite part. So I think really just the collaboration, getting talked to other partners, other customers, that just hearing what I think everybody's golden question is: what are you doing with AI? What are you doing with AI? And it's kind of funny because I think there'd be a much bigger adoption if there was like, okay, 1, 2, 3 things that everybody can do with AI, and it just makes sense, and we can template that. But I think just kind of hearing a lot of that and really kind of help form that answer of what can you do with AI, and really it's just process improvement. Now that's loaded answer because, well, what processes and things like that, and I think just kind of learning everybody's adoption of it, and understanding that we're not at a place right now where AI is going to replace everything, but maybe we start with some of the low hanging fruit, building those processes, and kind of, I think Taylor alluded before, crawl, walk, run. Because like we said, this stuff isn't going away, and if it can really help improve your workload or improve productivity, I think being in San Francisco is pretty cool.
What was the best meal you ate?
Oh man.
We don't have to do this because I won't make you ask me the best meal I ate over in Italy.
Yeah, it's probably way better than mine. But, there was we found I love finding like some hole in the wall places, and there was this Greek place that I will be going back for sure.
Awesome. Well, with the last few minutes, again, we've got the chat up. Are there any just immediate questions from anybody? Otherwise, we are happy to, again, like we said at the beginning, set up calls, have conversations. Ryan and I just like talking to people. Probably to the detriment of the other responsibilities of our jobs. We just like having conversations, learning, sharing knowledge. So, if you don't have any questions now, definitely reach out to us, connect on LinkedIn, connect with both of us. We're both, try to be active on there. And would love to have more conversations. So we'll give it, another, 30 seconds. If we don't see anything, we'll go ahead and wrap up and call it a day.
No, I got to ask you, what was your favorite meal in Milan?
Oh man. Okay. I had this seafood marinara pasta at just a hole in the wall, and it was probably the best pasta I've ever had.
Oh
And
gosh.
we only found this place because Alex Dietrich, our director of network engineering, we were at a shop and he asked one of the people that, one of the employees, hey, where should we eat? And they said, go to this place. Couldn't tell you what the name was. But man, it was good. So,
I don't have a great slide for it, but one thing I meant to mention too as well, Azure Virtual Desktop.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This was a big announcement. So historically, Azure Virtual Desktop session host had to either run in Azure or you could run it on-prem, but it had to be Azure local. Moving forward now, the session host, believe will be available Q2 of next year, but the session host can run on any hypervisor, VMware, Nutanix, HP VME, Proxmox, Hyper-V, whatever it is. The session host can be ran anywhere. So this really helps that maybe you're trying to push AVD, but you need that data locality and not quite ready to go hyper-converged with Azure Local. Was a big announcement. One other piece that it's exciting to see where the future is. So Azure Local has always historically been hyper-converged solution. They are starting to support some external storage. So for folks that want to go Azure Local but still have that 3-tier, definitely there's quite a bit of requirements on that right now, but I can see that continuing to open up there. So
I just went back in our chat from a couple weeks ago and grabbed the link you sent me. So awesome. That's now out there. So definitely check that out. That is very interesting. So.
Yeah, especially I'm sure everybody here has a Broadcom horror story. So something to just consider there.
Yeah, perfect. Well, with that, again, we appreciate everybody spending their lunch hour or whatever hour it may be in whatever time zone you're in. Don't hesitate to reach out. Please connect, and we will talk to you next time.
Have great holidays, everybody. Take care.